Over the last couple of days, I have been wondering if we can grow wings. I am aware that starting in 1998, when I Believe I Can Fly became such a big hit, and because we have been singing it since, it might sound like a more reasonable idea, and so I Google it. Can I grow wings? And you can imagine the wide spectrum of weird answers that I found. Now, the reason I was wondering about wings is that in this Torah portion, Parashat Vayak'heil, we are instructed to build the Ark of the Covenant, which will be located in the Mishkan, in the tabernacle. One of the instructions is to finally place the cherubim, and we are told that God will be communicating with us from between the cherubim. The cherubim of the ark are statues of angel-like figures that have their wings extended. And in Jewish tradition, wings are commonly associated with the idea of a sheltering embrace. However, a few chapters earlier, we heard about wings in sensing in a context that seems to be completely unrelated, but might actually be the other side of the same coin. Earlier in the book of Exodus, in chapter 19, we read, אתם ראיתם אשר עשיתי למצרים, ואשא אתכם על כנפי נשרים, ואבא אתכם אליי. You have seen what I did to the Egyptians, how I carried you on eagle's wings and brought you to me. This verse serves as a symbolic recollection of what happened in the Exodus, and is the headline for the ketuvah, the contract that will be presented to Am Israel, to the Jewish people, and will establish the covenant between the people of Israel and God. In Exodus 19:4-6, we read, you have seen what I did to the Egyptians, how I carried you on eagle's wings and brought you to me. Now, if you will obey me faithfully and keep my covenant, you shall be special to me among all the peoples. You will be to me a kingdom of priests, and a holy nation you shall be to me. Entering the covenant is the liminal stage in which Israel transitioned from being in the narrowest, the lowest, the most difficult place in the world into the redemptive status of perceiving ourselves as cared for, supported, and beloved. God describes this transition as being lifted and carried on eagle's wings. And now, here we are, back in Parashat Vayak'heil, standing in front of the Ark of the Covenant, and on top of the Ark, the majestic wings of the cherubim. These wings remind us that at some point we needed to be carried. We needed to be lifted. But at that time, we were like an empty container. The impossible circumstances of Egypt prevented us from having a positive perception of ourselves. And we didn't have Torah. We did not carry the cement, the seeds of what later became our center and the foundation of our values. But there is more to these wings. In very difficult moments, and you name what that means for you. Our political situation, an entire year of pandemic, a family crisis, the loss of a beloved one, or whatever narrow place we find ourselves in. The wings on top remind us that our values are not confined in an ark, and they are rather the foundation of our ability to elevate ourselves. Even in moments in which we struggle to find what we need, and we rather feel overwhelmed or drained, or the two of them at the same time. The ark reminds us that we are containers, we are vessels, we are holy containers. And as soon as we start to look inside with faith and hope, we start to spread our wings. Having these wings challenges us to trade being uplifted by lifting up. They remind us of the sweetness of being carried and sheltered, and at the same time, they dare us to carry on, to be a shelter, and to offer shelter. They tell us that no matter what story we have been telling ourselves, we are loved, we are cared for. They tell us that we have wings. And so, we can elevate ourselves. And yes, we can fly. Rabbi Cook once wrote, "If you desire to, human being, look at the light of God's presence. Gaze at the wonders of the creation, at their divine life. Know the reality in which you live. Know yourself and your world. Ascend. Ascend because you have the strength to do so. You have wings of spirit, wings of powerful eagles. Do not deny them, or they will deny you. Seek them, and you will find them in a flash."